everybody. Welcome back. I hope that you had a great break. I am back with a lot of energy. We're in the final stretch, so very much looking forward to telling you about our next speaker. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you that we have still 3 headliners and a fireside chat, so you're in for some good content. But let's get started with our next headliner. Generative AI, what's next? You'll be hearing from Tom Mason, CTO at Stability AI. Tom leads the engineering division for the Stability AI platform, where the goal is to build the future of generative AI to inspire global creativity and innovation. It is a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome Tom Mason to the stage.
Can you hear me? Is that working? Yeah, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. Hope you've all had a good break and hopefully a beer for those of you that drink. So yeah, I'm Tom, CTO at Stability AI, and for the last year, we've kind of been in the public domain building generative models and giving them away in all the coolest ways we can do. And there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up, so I'll give you a little bit of an introduction to some of that. So we're really committed at our heart to open source AI. That's kind of how we came about. I discovered this technology through an open source community that I was working in, just having fun, making amazing things, and discovered this group, and that led to kind of me joining Stability AI. And with a leader, what we're trying to do is to basically democratize this technology and make sure that it's in the hands of the people who are going to be changing it and informing its direction over the next few years. So I don't need to tell you kind of that the world runs on open source. This event probably is running on open source. Military submarines, Linux, Android, these are all technologies that have changed the world and still hugely important. I mean, just this stat here about Hollywood special effects, 90% of Hollywood special effects rely on Linux. So open source has some really important things at its core that are very important and are going to be very important for AI over the coming years. And we're obviously at this inflection point with companies now looking to develop use cases. We've had this amazing year of generative models, and the models being the thing that everyone is excited about. And now we're starting to see this kind of acceleration of people developing use cases and developing ways of using the technology. So at Stability, we have 3 kind of divisions. We have the research teams, which are made up of lots of different disparate open source groups that are developing models in image, audio, video, language, and 3D. We have our applied ML team, which is taking those models and making them better, working with governments and big enterprise to help them tune the models in their own domains. And then engineering, which is kind of what I lead, which is basically bringing them to customers and getting them out into the world through lots of different ways with our partners and through our platform. We have a very big supercompute cluster, around about 6,000 A100s. It's one of the fastest compute clusters in the world, which we've been developing with AWS over the last couple of years. And this is where we do most of the training of the models and also the inference that we're doing on our platform. So I mentioned that we work across all modalities. We have stable image, stable language, stable code, and then stable 3D, stable audio, and stable video. So image, you will have heard of Stable Diffusion. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of our latest models there called XL. And then a little bit about some of our upcoming stuff like stable video, which is super exciting. And then just recently, we just launched stable audio back in July, August, which allows people to make music with text prompts, which is pretty amazing. I've got a little demo of that as well. So we'll skip to the fun stuff. So yeah, obviously closed source versus open source is something that we're super passionate about. We believe that the importance of you owning the models, owning the weights, is going to be hugely valuable and important to the companies and the governments that are engaging with this technology. If you're developing language models, around the world, those countries are going to want to own the full model to give their citizens the full benefit of developing those models in that country with full sovereignty of data, full ownership of the development of the model and the benefits that come from it. So this is something that open source is going to be perfect for and is designed for. And also on top of that, we've seen this incredible year with Stable Diffusion where the community has developed many of the tools now that we're seeing on top of it. So fine-tuning, control nets, the controllability, all of these things are being developed by communities and groups that are working in the open source realm on top of the models. So stability at its heart lets you own all of that, lets you own your data, own your model, and own your moat, and that's hugely important. So let's take a little look at Stable Diffusion, which we released last September. This has kind of exploded, and the community around it developed very quickly. So we had originally a Discord community, which now has over 250,000 members. This slide is a little bit old. 250,000 members. We have a huge Reddit community. Our GitHub was one of the fastest growing GitHub repositories ever. And then obviously Hugging Face, we now have a huge amount of models that are on Hugging Face, and places like Civet AI and other model repositories where you're seeing this explosion of things that are being built on top of Stable Diffusion. I mentioned GitHub, so the GitHub repository was like one of the fastest trending ever repositories, like trending faster than things like Bitcoin and Transformers. And we're seeing lots of companies that are developing technology on top of Stable Diffusion. So they don't always work directly with us. They can do it on their own, right? You can come and download Stable Diffusion from Hugging Face. You can build on top of it. We've seen companies like Lenza, Dawn, these other companies that are some of the fastest growing companies on the App Store, literally just taking our model and building on top of it on their own. And this is one of the great things. It's open source is like an accelerator, a multiplier. So we don't have to be within that owning that space. We can just give to it, and this community built on top of it, which is incredible. So there are lots of companies that are like that. Some of them work with us. Some of them work with on their own. Lenza, Wombo, ClipDrop. We acquired ClipDrop. There are other companies like Night Cafe. Night Cafe's been around since the early days of clip-guided diffusion and other diffusion models. They're now one of the largest users of our API. And then lots of phone companies as well who are trying to now use Stable Diffusion as a way of benchmarking their chips. So Apple developing or recoding Stable Diffusion for their M1 chips, the Qualcomm, Intel, who we've just partnered with, Samsung, all these companies now trying to optimize it for edge case or edge-based diffusion. This is going to be hugely important as we see the models move to the edge and get faster. And this is because not only are the algorithms getting faster that we're using to run the models, but obviously the chipsets themselves are getting faster at incredible speed. So Stable Diffusion XL is our latest model. It's about 3 or 4 times larger than the original Stable Diffusion. It's about 2.4 billion parameters. And just intrinsically, it produces much more beautiful images without having to have this complex prompt that maybe you were familiar with from the original Stable Diffusion. It also has a text encoder in it, so it can generate text within the image. So you can see here the dog with the STXL helmet, the STXL hat. And it produces beautiful, beautiful images almost every time, and also kind of photorealistic images. So, just like open up your mind and imagine what you can create with this. The kind of possibilities are literally limitless. And the amazing ability of these models is to blend ideas from different domains that previously would never have been thought of, right? So you can do that. You can make your own Mad Max concepts. You can design anything that comes into your mind, including the Pope as a Borg, or scenes from Blade Runner, or your kind of dystopian video game, and brilliant for concepting. So these companies like marketing companies, video game companies, already deep diving into this tech to use it for their own ideation and concepting workflows. Even professional photograph of Game of Thrones is a Japanese drama. So this is going to be the next phase as we start to see these models being used to reinvent existing things, or even personalize them and put yourselves into the model with fine-tuning. This is a short clip of some of the stuff that Stable Diffusion XL is being used for, in particular with product design. So I'll just let this roll and we can watch it. Hopefully we've got sound. So just to make the point, this model is open source. You can go and download it, you can put it on your computer, you can attach control nets to it, you can animate it. This is an incredible piece of technology that is on the open web, where you can just go and play with it. And that's where we're seeing this incredible innovation happening. And it's happening, it's going to be happening in other domains that we're working on. So stable audio, I mentioned, we released in August, is a stable audio model with licensed data. Stable video is coming very, very, very soon, and I'm going to give a few little clips of that in a minute, but this is like the next big wave as we see all of this technology being applied to video models, and then 3D as well. So I mentioned our audio team working on speaking models, spoken voice conversion.
And
so
like again,
I'm going to quickly clip over. This is a quick sample of our audio model. So this you can go and try at stableaudio.com. If we will play this, is a short clip of this. So this is a 40-second sequence of music that's generated by the model. The model is conditioned on text that is used to describe the music, but also on things like the BPM. So you can say, give me a electric guitar with electric drums playing at 120 BPM with synth piano, etc., 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 and you will get that back as a piece of music or audio that you can use in a song if you're making a song, or in a production if you're making a TV production or something. So again, like hugely powerful model. And then most recently, so for those of you that know, like, kind of in the open source industry, there's a big explosion happening now with video. So we're taking the basically stable diffusion image model, and we're extending this with frames and teaching it to predict what a video with temporally consistent frames would look like. So a few of us at Stability have been working on a little Twitch stream which allows you to, basically people can prompt via the chat, and it just generates video on demand. So this is actually a 2.5-hour video, so I won't play the whole thing, but you can see like what the video model is capable of. Being able to basically take a prompt from an image and then actually predict. We're kind of extending the lifetime of these videos, which are actually only 16 frames, by interpolating them, extending them, slowing them down, and then using latent interpolation to stitch them together. So you can basically get like infinite video generation just forever. And this is a little experiment that we've been doing with a kind of live Twitch stream. But there's more coming very, very soon on this, as the video team is building up to a release, which will be open source. So we'll be open sourcing this model. So I'm going to wrap things up because I'm running out of time. But I just want to mention a few technologies that are happening in the space which are really interesting. Comfy UI is a kind of visual workflow tool that is being developed by the community, but a small group in particular, and it allows people to kind of pull apart the model and reattach it in different ways, and attach inference pipelines and design them on their own. So this is a really powerful tool that's getting a lot of use now, and if you look around the internet, it's getting a huge amount of interest. My favorite kind of YouTubers are the ones that are working on, stable diffusion and generative models. So people like Pers, who's now doing like tutorials on video generation with Animate Diff. Consumption, again, who's doing tutorials on, how to do prompt travel with video models. Super cool. If you haven't seen these guys, go and check out some of the tutorials. They'll teach you how to put yourself in the model and animate them, which is really cool. So just to wrap it up, so we have a lot of tools that you can come and engage with. We have the Stability Platform, which is a big REST API, gRPC API with lots of sandboxes. You can literally copy and lift code, lift and shift it into your own platforms, and get all of our tech running directly straight away. We have a lot of partnership. We have a big partnership with Amazon. Our models are available in Amazon Jumpstart, in their new foundation model service Bedrock. We'll be launching with other foundation model providers. And you can do things in the platform. All the stuff I've shown you to do with stable diffusion in painting. We have a latent diffusion upscaler, which can upscale images at a 4x resolution. We're just about to launch our fine-tuning platform, which allows you to basically tune on characters, yourself, your pet, styles, and you can merge these all back together to make incredible merged models, which you can then use to help ideate in your film or whatever it is that you're developing, or just advertising with particular brand or product concepts. So fine-tuning is going to be a big thing as we develop that and launch it. Control nets, I mentioned. Control nets are a hugely popular way of getting more controllability out of the model. So this is something that we're extending beyond the prompt and actually being able to control the model in different ways, which is hugely powerful and gives me people more ability to generate things. So lastly, applications, obviously, for these image, audio, video models. The next generation of TV, marketing, advertising, animation, film, video gaming, these are going to be redefined by generative AI. You are going to design your own experiences. You're going to be able to control how the scenes are created, the environments are created, the music. You're going to be much more in control of that as a consumer of media, I think, as this technology develops. And that's going to be a fun place to be, right? It's going to be a place where we can get and be part of that creative experience. And if you're a professional that's working in the industry, this is just going to give you better ability to generate ideas and to iterate and to ideate. And this is like a tool. So we see it as something that's generally an amazing tool for people to use, both for their own personal consumption, but also for professional industries. So I mentioned video games. Roblox already using it. So you can now, in Roblox, you can speak to the game and generate textures in-game, which is kind of a really interesting way that video games are going to start using it. Sony using it in their Spider-Verse to, this is like with pose control, generating Spider-Man in different poses. And then just like, concept for character development and lots of things. So anyway, far too many things for me to talk about. That was a very quick whistle-stop tour of what's going on in the world of stability and generative models. I hope it was interesting. And if you've got any questions, I think we've got like 1 minute, 2 minutes. But thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, we have 2.5 minutes for questions. We have I'm sure there was, I saw someone raising their hands. Oh yeah, there we go.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about the copyrights of the generated content, whether videos or images. So for example, if I want to use them in producing my YouTube videos or social media videos, or even stick them on my final products or so on. Regarding this, do you have any legal problem? Can I freely use them?
Yeah.
And at the same time, do I have a copyrights over them, or no one has a copyrights over them?
Nobody. So currently, they're public domain, right? Anything produced by the models is public domain. So you can do with them what you like. You can monetize them, whatever you like. You're not allowed to own them. That's a very important, separation of principles. But yeah, you can do with them what you like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, just the gentleman over there and then someone over there as well. Yes, please.
I feel like this is something that I could also use, for example, to generate, let's say, data sets, because for our company, for example, we need different situations where data set is really hard to come by, for example. So can this be then used in painting, for example, or something like that to create these data sets, and then the legality of it was also with us? Or?
Yeah, that's a really interesting use case. So I'll give you, I can't name the company, but I'll give you an example. So big aerospace manufacturer, trying to develop data sets for training computer vision models, right, on like denting airplanes. Okay, so it's a hugely expensive thing that they do. They actually, they throw rocks at planes just to train, drone cameras, computer vision models on drone cameras. So yeah, you can do that. You can develop a 3D model. You can then basically render it, but then condition the output with Stable Diffusion, with image to image, and make it look photorealistic. So you can generate a massive range of data for training computer vision models, both in like all kinds of ways. So yeah, that's a really interesting use case.
All right, I'm afraid we're out of time, but Mr. Tom Mason, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Till the next
you.
time. Thank you.